until 4 o'clock. As I zoom in a little bit closer, you can see that it is north. It's just barely touching Honeymoon Island and then moving across the Palm Harbor area and into Tarpon Springs. So we'll take a quick look at the areas that are likely to be impacted, and it'll be moving right across Palm Harbor, East Lake, Trinity, Keystone, and Cosme. So again, this is in that Odessa Keystone area in northwest Hillsborough County. So if you are in those areas, you definitely want to stay indoors, away from doors and windows like you would typically hear. Right now, as we're looking at, let me see if I can.
I'm going to go ahead and read this. This came in from the Weather Service. It's until 4 o'clock, all right? So what this is exactly what, boy, you can, right there it is.
You can see it right there.
Right there. There's your spin. So if you live in this area, it says a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado is located near Palm Harbor or about 8 miles southwest of Holidays, pretty much right over my neighborhood. At this point, it is there's your spin. You see where the red and the green, I'm going to walk over there and show this on the chroma key wall. But again, this is what we talked about just about 3 or 4 minutes ago. When you get a water spout offshore that then moves onshore, okay? So when you have this area right here, when you have red and green together, this is you're no longer looking at rain when you look at this, you're actually looking at air motion. And you're looking at rotation. So this is based on the rotation when that air is moving from or away or toward you, right? So like a merry-go-round. If you're in the middle, half of it's spinning one way, the other half spinning the other way. So when we look at radar, that is what we see as this is moving off to the northeast. Now, again, I know this area very well. This is pretty much my neighborhood. So anywhere from, let's say, Klosterman Boulevard off of Alt 19, all right, southward along Alt 19, over toward when you get into the Palm Harbor, the Ozona area, the Crystal Beach area. Now, let me be really clear about this. The overwhelming majority of these storms, when they are water spouts, they come on shore briefly as a water spout and then they dissipate, but not always. So if you live in this general area, and again, you can say from the north side, I would say, Shay, let's go ahead and zoom in even a little bit more because, again, I know this area really well. So as this comes in, I mean, I know it's a bunch of colors that might be a little meaningless to you, but all this means is the rotation as a water spout is expected to move onshore very soon, like literally any minute. So if you live in this area and you either see or hear the rotation of a storm coming, you want to go into an interior part of your home, away from windows. That's the key. We don't have basements in Florida. So when something comes in this direction, you want to be in an interior room on the first floor, either in a bathroom or in a windowless room if possible. I will tell you my experience is the majority of these storms typically don't produce a lot of damage, but when there is rotation, as there is, and the computers are showing it, then we'll follow it. At this point, looking right in there, I don't see a particularly impressive signature at this point. We'll see what happens as it gets closer over the next minute or two, but again, here's the area we're concerned about. Say south of Klosterman Road, down through Alderman Boulevard on Alt 19, alternate 19. It hasn't made it to US 19 yet, all right? And then you go a little bit more south to Tampa Road. In that general area, Tampa Road to Klosterman is where that rotation is, and it is moving on shore. That's very near to Innisbrook. That's very near to several areas, Crystal Beach. So, and I will tell you, in the last couple of years, I think I've probably had 4 or 5 areas of rotation, water spouts, move onshore. And of those 5, only 1 caused a couple of trees to go down, and that was it. So, you know, we're looking at this right now. Shay, are you seeing anything else from the Weather Service? Have they sent anything else on there? Because I have yet to see anything at this point. But again, this is the area, and that's the only warning that we are seeing at this point in time. It remains in effect until 4 o'clock. Now, if it were to stay intact, okay? If it were to stay where the Weather Service is saying this is still the possibility of a tornado once it moves on shore, you would then be looking at moving east, headed toward US 19. And then over towards some of the subdivisions, maybe like the Groves or Cobb's Landing, you know, over in that general area as it goes kind of to the individual cells are moving northeast, but the whole line is moving in this general direction. So, but my experience, and Shay, I think you probably would agree with me, in terms of what we're seeing on here, it doesn't look like a particularly impressive signature, at least at this point. I mean, are you picking up on anything yourself?
No, I thought it looked it looked like it was impressive for a moment and then has weakened some. And I'm just looking across the rest of the coastline here to see if there's anything else. And granted, you do see red next to green, but it's not you want to see a hook. You want to see a little bit of a dip and a C shape, and that would indicate the rotation. So as you get a little farther south here, offshore around Madeira Beach, but again, this is well offshore, that's where maybe there's a little bit of spin in this area here where we're zooming in a little bit closer. This is where you're getting more of that coupling. But again, that's well offshore. So what we're looking at closer to the coastline, it looks like it's evening out some and it is weakening. We're not getting that real strong green.
It's pretty common. I will tell you, the Weather Service, I'll finish what they were saying. So, you know, the impact radar indicated rotation, obviously the water spout. If it moves onshore, it thus would become a tornado. A flying debris will be dangerous to those caught without shelter. Mobile homes will be damaged. Tree damage is likely. And there's a look at Clearwater right now. Obviously, that's the line, the leading edge of the storm, the squall line. But the main threat right now is, again, in the Palm Harbor area where there is a tornado warning. This dangerous storm will be near Clearwater, Holiday, East Lake Woodlands area, and Palm Harbor around 3:50. So pretty much right now where it's moving on shore. And I will tell you, the majority of the times and there it is, yeah. So the majority of the time, these have a tendency to kind of die out pretty quickly, but nevertheless, the warning remains in effect. And again, according to the Weather Service, if you live in this area, you take cover now. If your home is flooded, avoid floodwaters. I'm just reading from their advisory. If possible, take shelter in an interior room. That's what we were saying. Avoid windows. And if you're outdoors in a mobile home or in a vehicle, move to the closest substantial shelter. I don't know. I'm not so sure that this particular cell warrants that. That's more of a standard boilerplate that the Weather Service would issue when there's any kind of a tornado warning. But at this point, if you're just tuning in, tornado warning, northern Pinellas County. Again, the area where we would expect moving onshore would be between around Klosterman, along Alt 19, down to probably around Tampa Road in that general area. And it does look, according to this track here from the Weather Service, that it's more of a northeast track. And if that's the case, you know, it could make its way up toward Landsbrook, East Lake Woodlands. I mean, if it were to continue moving off to the north, it could even make it as far north as Trinity. But at this point in time, what I'm looking at is probably a rather unimpressive signature at this point.
Very strong winds, some very heavy rainfall. There's not even that much lightning now associated in this area. So it's mainly the wind and the rain.
And we still do have that severe thunderstorm warning for central Citrus County, as well as northern Sumter County. Now that runs until 4:15. And that's a severe thunderstorm near Black Diamond or near Beverly Hills. And that's moving northeast at 45 miles an hour. Those winds have been gusting up to 60 miles an hour. And locations possibly impacted would be Hernando, Sugar Mill Woods, Inverness, Wildwood, Arbor Lakes, Lecanto, Homosassa Springs, Green Acres, Leisure Acres, and Crystal Oaks. So inland areas, we're not ignoring you. It's just you're not seeing any of this right now. So Polk County areas in eastern Pasco, Hillsborough County. Again, it does look like that. Have they moved the box at all, or is it pretty much the exact same spot? I guess it's still
the tornado warning.
Yeah.
No, exact same spot.
Same spot. Okay. Well, it's set to expire in about 5 minutes. So we'll see if the Weather Service continues it. But it does look like the individual cells are moving northeast, and if that's the case, then you could be seeing, at the very least, you could be seeing some very, very. I mean, there it is. I mean, there's your line. I mean, you see where the red and the green go next to each other. But what you don't see is any kind of significant circulation. So we have some pictures from the Tarpon Springs sponge docks. There's a cam right there, and it looks okay. I mean, you're not seeing any water coming up in the sponge docks, nor would you until this evening, because the water isn't even going to rise until high tide when the wind comes up. But what's good is you're seeing the palm fronds, you're seeing the palms bend over a little bit, but nothing too unusual for I mean, it's been that windy all day long. We really had winds of 40 to 50 miles an hour all day long coming in along the coastline from Tarpon down to Clearwater and all the way down to northern Manatee County. But I'm looking again from the Weather Service. I've not seen, here's another update. Let's see what
We're getting another severe thunderstorm warning for southern Pinellas County.
Yep, there it is. So what it is, severe thunderstorm warning for southern Pinellas and west central Florida. At 3:54, a severe thunderstorm located near Seminole. Seminole always seems to get these things. Moving east at 40 miles an hour. So locations impacted include St. Pete, Largo, Pinellas Park, Seminole, Gulfport, St. Pete Beach, Treasure Island, Kenneth City, South Pasadena, and Madeira Beach. And they even say remain alert for a possible tornado. Tornadoes can develop quickly from severe thunderstorms. If you spot a tornado, go at once into a small central room in a sturdy structure. So we actually have two warnings going on in Pinellas right now. We have the severe thunderstorm warning for the southern half, and we have the tornado warning for the northern half. Okay, we are reporting, okay, I'm getting this from a ham radio operator. The Weather Service is saying they are saying a reported touchdown of a tornado in Pasco County. They are trying to obtain the location via the ham radio operator. So that is not official, but that is just a notification that just came down from the Weather Service. So at this point, we're just kind of waiting to see if they expand that the warning in northern Pinellas and into Pasco, because it does appear, if that's the case, my guess is it's probably the same one that was warned on, and it is moving off to the north. At this point, okay, here we go. So storm surge, okay, we're also getting some information from the city of Clearwater, guys. Lauren and Paul, don't know if you've heard anything about this, but we are seeing the storm surge has reached Gulf View Boulevard on the southern portion of Clearwater Beach. So we might want to check on that, seeing if we're getting any information from Casey. I believe, was Casey in?
Casey's in Gulfport.
He's in Gulfport,
Yep.
Okay, a little bit south of that. But yeah, we are, and obviously there's a look at the beach right now. I mean, the water's coming in, but as we said, the coastal flooding that's going to be happening later really is not going to really start rising until we get to high tide and when the winds come around out of the west behind this front. So, Shea, officially that tornado warning set to expire in 2 minutes for northern Pinellas. If you're just tuning in, tornado warning from around Palm Harbor northward. It does extend into Pinellas or Pasco. It's set to expire at 4 o'clock. We'll see if the Weather Service lets it expire. But again, according to the Weather Service, they did have a ham radio operator say that there was the report of a brief touchdown in Pasco, but did not say specifically where it would be. Looking at reflectivity, are we really seeing any spin? I'm not. I mean, again, this is a look at air motion, and you look for a little hook or a little bit of a green to red next to each other. And if you're looking at the area that was under a warning, I don't see that at all. So my guess is they might very well let this expire at 4 o'clock, and then we're just looking at the threat of severe thunderstorms, which again, at any point in time, a severe thunderstorm could become a tornado with this kind of a pattern. And the entire Bay Area is still under. There's that other spin coming in off Bayonet Point. So here's a look at Clearwater Beach, and again, another cam showing up there. And not seeing, I'm seeing some surf, not seeing really any significant water rise there. But now we have two areas of spin. So there you go. You've got the one that's still showing up in Palm Harbor, areas of that. Have you guys seen any reports at all on social media or anything about any kind of damage? I've not seen anything.
At this point, no.
Okay. All right,
I can tell you, though, Dennis, it's affecting Hillsborough, too. So I just got this text from my son's high school, Sickles. They've got a shelter-in-place warning in effect, or shelter-in-place order in effect because of the tornado warning for staff there. If there are any students left over, I guess they're going to be for extracurricular activities. They're sheltering in place at Sickles High School, which is in the West Chase area. So Hillsborough County,
in that warning area.
Yeah, and Hillsborough County chose not to. They chose to have school today. Every county sort of had to make their own decision when it came to that. But maybe it timed out right as you're seeing how this is coming in. I mean, school is pretty much ended for most schools, if not all schools in Hillsborough. But still, if you're left over at school right now, you're being told, at least in the Sickles area of West Chase, to stay there.
And I think that was the big concern, not going to school this morning, but getting home. I mean, a lot of the parents who were commenting on social media, they were commenting because they wanted to know how safe it would be getting their kids home, picking their kids up and going to the bus stop and whatnot. And I think that's, kind of the big question right now.
Yeah,
And the
some
tornado
schools let out
warning
early.
expired.
Okay, so the Weather Service did let the tornado warning expire, kind of figure they would. We will see if they will reissue because, Shay, we both know that it's very common, even if a warning expires and a tornado goes away, that it can sometimes pulse back up again and they can issue a new warning. But at this point, that's some good news that they, I'm looking at that ham radio operator again, talking about where there was a location of a touchdown. Still haven't seen anything. But at this point, it does look like they've at least let it expire. Whether they reissue, we will see. So summing it up, the tornado warning that was in effect for northern Pinellas has expired. There's still a severe thunderstorm warning for southern Pinellas. There's also a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for Citrus and Sumter County. I think it's safe to say, Shay, either of those, certainly it's possible that there could be a brief spin, but the majority of the time, these move onshore as waterspouts. It's much easier for rotation to occur over the water because there's less friction than if it's over land. So if you get a waterspout develop over the Gulf, it moves onshore, it then runs into more friction, whether it's land, whether it's structures, and our tornadoes are usually really small. Typically they are. They're EF zeros the majority of the time. So it causes them to weaken pretty quickly. But at this point, that warning has expired. Are you seeing anything else up? There's a new...
Just to the north of us.
Yeah, okay. All
Yeah,
right.
a new warning. Let's see, it's going to be, this is a severe thunderstorm warning for Flagler, Marion again, Putnam, and St. Johns counties.
Okay.
And then a tornado warning there at Marion and Putnam counties.
How are the cams looking, guys? How are the cams around Clearwater and the bridges? Because a lot of folks are asking, is the bridge going to close? Because this line is getting really close to the Skyway. And I think that's going to be something we'll have to watch because, looking out over in the Clearwater area, look, that's the traffic circle, I think, right there, right there over as you enter Clearwater. So it looks fine. I mean, it looks like an afternoon thunderstorm, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, it does. And the water issues will not be because of rain. So don't think that we're going to be any kind of flooding because of rainwater. We won't. If there's any coastal flooding to be had, it is going to be because of Gulf water coming in with the winds shifting later on tonight behind the front. So at this point, that's kind of what we're looking at right now. I want to go ahead and see if we have some of those cams that we can take. And then at that point, we'll kind of, since we have no warnings currently in effect, I think we have the ability to either go talk to Casey or maybe go and check out a few more things. Lauren is checking in right now on if there's any kind of issues, any other cancellations. There's the Skyway. And Paul, I don't know if the desk has any opportunity to find out if that is going to be closed, if there's...
It's a busy rush hour about to happen.
Well,
People trying to get home
that's
or
a
go
valid
home.
point.
That's and that's one of your main ways on and off, to get across the bay. There's another live look there. That's the Courtney Campbell. And Dennis, we were talking earlier, Lauren and her photographer earlier today were out there, and all of a sudden a wave crashed over the edge there right onto them. It just shows you the power of that wind that we're dealing with.
And again, looking at the wind gusts, we've seen gusts between about 35 and 50, and that's outside of the severe thunderstorm warning. Obviously, this is that leading edge, and this is what we've been saying. This is the mainsail. And for the last couple of days, our timetable was the leading edge of this rain, 20 minutes, 25 minutes. That will be the majority of the rain, well, the majority of the wind. Certainly, that would be where any risk of a tornado would be, at the first 15, 20 minutes of that line. Afterwards, it's no longer a concern. So once we go from the threat of a tornado or gusty winds and damaging winds, you get 50, 55 mile an hour winds, you can have some minor damage. But at that point, that's when the winds behind this line turn out of the west. And that is when we would expect to see the water rise along the coast. Again, I'll say this again, not as widespread or as bad as it was last month. But still, areas like Shore Acres, areas that are known for flooding when you get water rise at high tide, nothing to do with the rainfall. So if you live east of I-75, this is not you have nothing to worry about here. This coastal flood warning, nothing to do with rain. 100% water being pushed in from the Gulf, either into our coastal areas or onto areas in the bay itself. And the time frame right there, that is when we're a little more concerned about that water rise. Up until then, I don't think you're going to have significant flooding until we start to see that high tide. Paul?
Yeah, I'm just looking at TPA right now and flight status. I mean, it's delay right down the board. Chicago, Atlanta, Detroit, you name the city, it ain't moving. So TPA is open, but effectively it's sort of shelter in place. Flights are not going out right now. Most flights also in and out of Sarasota, Bradenton International are delayed. And sort of goes without saying, given the live pictures we've been showing you there, the Sunshine Skyway, if you're in Manatee County, really any local county, you could expect bus delays if you're expecting a student to be coming home in the next hour or so for those schools that were still actually open or released on time today. A lot of schools, a lot of counties did not have school today, including Pasco and Pinellas. Hillsborough did. But some of them changed their schedules and released early. And so this is affecting different areas as storms tend to do in Tampa Bay. It affects different areas in different ways. If you're along the coast, Dennis, as you've been pointing out, the flooding, particularly from the wind, the surge, is really going to be the main factor. The good news, this is a quick mover, it appears. As you were saying, we're done with this in 25 minutes once it starts get going. But right now, this is what we're dealing with. We're continuing our team coverage. ABC Action News reporter Casey Albritton has been in Gulfport all day with how people started really getting ready for this storm yesterday and early this morning.
I'm Casey Albritton in Pinellas County, and here in Gulfport, the wind is really picking up. Waves are already crashing over the sidewalks, and it's very strong out here. Pinellas County leaders are warning everyone to bring in items, make sure they're bringing any loose items into their homes to make sure they don't blow away or cause any damage. In addition to that, a lot of these restaurants here along Gulfport are really trying to prepare for this storm. They're bringing in a lot of their items. They're also using sandbags to try to keep from flooding. Pinellas County leaders say if you have had flooding in the past, you need to be prepared to have that happen again, especially if you had flooding in December or during Hurricane Idalia. They say they really need you to be prepared going into this storm, and it's better to be safe than sorry. I'm Pinellas County reporter Casey Albritton, ABC Action News.
And before the storm rolled in, look at this, people living in St. Petersburg, they were out there packing up on the sandbags. One woman telling us earlier today that her Shore Acres home flooded in August during Hurricane Idalia, and then just last month, she told us water flooded her garage during that no-name storm that we saw. Another man telling us his apartment also prone to flooding.
Just water comes in, you know what I'm saying? Like on that side of the building is my bathroom and my bedroom and my closet. So, you know, I make sure that in those areas, if there's something on the floor, you know, I don't want it to be anything that's real precious to me.
So a lot of work for a lot of people throughout Tampa Bay today, particularly along the coast. There are places still handing out sandbags, and for more information, go to our website, abcactionnews.com. We turn next here to Pasco County, where Eric Waxler is dealing with strong winds before the worst of that storm moves through.
Yeah, Hudson Beach is a place we've come to before for tropical storms and hurricanes because you can really get a look at what's coming from the Gulf. And right now it is an ominous sight looking out as the water rises and the winds pick up. Around 3 o'clock is when the weather really started to deteriorate. And we're seeing major gusts of wind as strong as I've ever felt here. You can look up at the trees and sometimes get a really good look at these gusts. That's nowhere near as strong as we've seen it. But you look at that American flag, it is definitely blowing hard. We've seen the sheriff's office come by here to check on things. We've seen a few people that have come by earlier to just get a look at the scene, but they have kind of gone home right now. Although the restaurant here at Hudson Beach near the marina is still open for business, but the rain is now starting to fall a little harder and conditions definitely are deteriorating. At Hudson Beach, Eric Waxler, ABC Action News.
Eric, thank you. Make sure to stay with us both on air and online for all the storm coverage. You can also scan that QR code right there on your screen to take you to our website, abcactionnews.com/weather, to stay up to date on the latest conditions no matter where you are. Stay with us.